welcome to Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Sood, the show not only about the headlines, but the meaning behind them. So let's get started with the top stories and break them down for you with our reporters and analysts. Prohibitory orders in Karnataka's Mandya district following violence during Ganesh idol immersion. Clashes reported this morning as well. Face-off over centre versus states funds share. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman claims DMK has separatist mindset. DMK hits back, says Tamil Nadu only asks for what is right. Congress MP Shashi Tharoor strikes a different chord from his party once again. Backs Election Commission survey in Bihar, says annual review of voters list is only practical. Indian government assures Belgium over fugitive Mehul Choksi's extradition, promises humane jail stay. Delhi government under fire over Chief Minister's husband attending meeting. Opposition calls it unconstitutional. BJP defends, saying CM is part of delegation. Ukraine President Zelensky backs US tariffs on India, calls it the right idea to sanction those who do business with Russia. Start with some breaking news. Clashes are taking place in Karnataka's Mandya district. They took place this morning. Arson after the Ganesh idol immersion brawl happened. Remember, these clashes took place even last night. What we know from the police is that prohibitory orders are in place in Mandya and protesters clashed with the police earlier today. Tension gripped Madhur town in Mandya district after communal clashes erupt during Lord Ganesh idol immersion on Sunday. The district witnessed clashes between police personnel and protesters. Prohibitory orders have now been clamped in the district. The situation turned violent following stone pelting allegedly by miscreants from another community, leading to widespread unrest. Deepak now joins me live on that developing story. Deepak, give us the details on what really is happening on the ground. Tension has gripped the area. We know there have been clashes even this morning. What is the police saying?
Well, there were no clashes this morning, but there were protests that broke out this morning. Now, the clashes happened last night during the time of the procession, where the SP, says that he was informed by those who were a part of the procession that they were passing through an area, Rahim Ram Nagar. That's when, they passed through, a religious place, and eventually from a neighboring area, there were a lot of stones that were pelted at the procession. And there were stones then that were even pelted in retaliation as well. And eventually, it led to a clash of sorts there. The police who were at the spot immediately resorted to some mild lathi charge, diffused the situation and brought it under control. Prohibitory orders were put in place. This morning, all of a sudden, a large number of, activists, protesters, all of them came together, some BJP leaders as well, and began to march. During the march, again, stones were being pelted and some of them tried to, of course, set a few objects and flags on fire. That's when the police had to again try to contain the situation, disperse the crowds. Mild lathi charge taking place during that time as well. They've allowed for the procession at this point in time, considering how volatile the situation is, and they want to make sure that they keep the situation under control, and the procession is expected to end in the next half an hour. Until then, there is a lot of policemen along the way who've been deployed. KSRP platoons have also been brought in so that there is no escalation whatsoever. The police are saying up until now there are 21 people who've been arrested, about 4 to 5 people who seem to be the primary miscreants behind this act of stone pelting. They are absconding. The cops have formed teams to nab them as well.
So very quickly, we have mentioned that prohibitory orders are in place. There's a clampdown in the area. Massive police deployment there, like you said earlier. Give us more details on what it looks like right now in the area. What are you hearing?
Well, Well, the pictures, of course, are from about 45 minutes ago when, the people who had gathered to protest began to pelt stones. And that's why, the police had to resort to lathi charge is the official word that I'm getting. We'll, of course, be in Mandya very shortly, and we'll be bringing to our viewers what's happening on the ground. But definitely uncalled for, and we do see such incidents happening during the time of Ganesha procession. But unfortunately, the government after government, the police forces somewhere are not able to contain and ensure that these situations do not occur. Last week, of course, predominantly Ganesha processions and the immersion was peaceful, but this week we've had couple of instances, be it in Shimoga, now here this is an instance from Mandya. Last year as well, in Mandya there was another incident, of course, that sparked off a huge controversy, and this year once again it is a similar incident, and hopefully it will be brought under control. Now the Home Minister, of course, has said that he's taken cognizance and taken information from the senior officers and ensured that the instructions are given to make sure that anybody involved in this stone pelting are taken to custody at the earliest.
Deepak, any word from the state government on what we're seeing on our screens? Like you said, there are protests that broke out this morning and violent clashes last night. What are we hearing from the government?
Well, the Home Minister has responded and said that, he has learnt of this particular incident from Madur and a few other instances from different parts of Karnataka, and everything is being handled as per law is his official word. We're yet to hear from the Deputy Chief Minister and the Chief Minister about the same.
Deepak, just give us a quick recap of why this happened. We're trying to show our viewers the visuals from last night as well as this morning of the clashes that took place last night in Mandya, and then again the protests that broke out this morning. The reason behind it, has there been intense rumor mongering also, which is a cause of worry in the area?
Well, whenever there are processions, police, of course, keep a tight watch as to which are the areas that they are passing through, especially when processions pass through religious places in different parts of the country. Even in Karnataka, there is a huge blanket of, security that is provided and to ensure that from either side there is no sort of provocation. And here it seems like last night when the procession was passing through one stretch of the road, the stones were pelted at the procession, and that's what instigated a counter as well. And eventually it led to a clash. Was brought under control, but this morning once again protesters hitting the streets. At that point in time, stone pelting being reported again, after which the police resorting to lathi charge as well.
Deepak, do stay with me. Reactions coming in. Let's cut across.
अभी चामुंडी उत्सव आ रहे हैं, नवरात्रि आ रहे हैं। चामुंडी का उद्घाटन के लिए, उत्सव उद्घाटन के लिए बानो मुस्ताक को वो बुलाया। इसके कारण हमारे मन में, हिंदुओं का मन में एक संशय है, ये सरकार किसका है। गणपति का कार्यक्रम हो रही है, बहुत रुखवाट आया, उधर सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रम करने के लिए परमिशन नहीं है, डीजे डालने के लिए परमिशन नहीं है, प्रोसेशन जाने के लिए परमिशन नहीं है, प्रोसेशन को रक्षण नहीं करते हैं। ऐसा बहुत तकलीफ से अभी गणपति चतुर्थी, गणेश चतुर्थी हुआ है। कल मंड्या में गणेश चतुर्थी का, गणपति का प्रोसेशन चल रहा था। कई लोग पत्थर फेंके एंड हमारा ध्वज को अपमान किया, गणेश को अपमान किया। लास्ट ईयर भी, पिछले साल भी यही मंड्या में, नागमंगला में हुआ था। ये साल कल मद्दूर में, मंड्या जिला का मंदूर में हुआ। सरकार हिंदुओं को दमन करने का, हिंदू भावनाओं को दमन करने का काम कर्नाटक में कर रहा है। मैं इसको विरोध करती हूं एंड तुरंत ही कौन कल पत्थर फेंका, गणेश को अपमान किया, प्रोसेशन में बाधा डाला।
Deepak, still with us, the Union Minister there saying that the sensitivities of Hindus is being impacted in Mandya after the clashes. Deepak, still with us. Deepak, you have the BJP and the government also coming out and saying that sensitivities on the ground have been hurt with what has happened. This is going to be quite a challenge over the next day at least for the security forces on the ground. One thought that after the clashes last night and with prohibitory orders, things would be better this morning, but we've seen protests once more in the area. A huge challenge there in terms of security issues.
Well, yes, there is right now a huge blanket of policemen that have been deployed across the district. They will want to ensure that peace is maintained. The BJP has already said that this is, the Congress government failing to maintain law and order, failing to protect, processions, imposing restrictions on, Ganesha celebrations in different parts of the state, and, various charges that are coming in. To this, whether there'll be a rebuttal or a counter from the government, it remains to be seen. But of course, the politics around this, of course, is only expected to intensify. And hopefully peace will be restored in the region as soon as possible.
All right, do stay with me. A quick recap for our viewers who are joining in right now. Those visuals you're seeing on your screen are from last night and this morning. There were clashes that took place in a mother town in Mandya district. Tension has gripped the area after communal clashes erupted during Lord Ganesh idol immersion on Sunday. The district witnessed clashes between police personnel and protesters. Prohibitory orders have been clamped in the district. The situation turned volatile following stone pelting allegedly by miscreants from another community, leading to widespread unrest. Now, according to the police sources, it started when people were taking part in the Ganesh immersion procession in Ram Rahim Nagar. Clashes broke out between youths from both communities, forcing police to intervene. The superintendent of police rushed to the spot and reviewed the situation. But like Deepak is saying, it remains a huge challenge to keep that security in place in the area. We have Ravi Shankar Prasad, I believe, also speaking. Let's cut across.
दिखावा है, कृपया करके सोल ऑफ द नेशन की बात आप न करें और पार्टी के मंच से हम आपके इस हिपोक्रेसी को आज एक्सपोज करने के लिए आए हैं। लालू प्रसाद सिर्फ चारा घोटाले में कन्विक्टेड नहीं है। लालू प्रसाद रेलवे की संपत्ति को गलत तरीके से बेचने पर भी चार्जशीटेड है, पता है ना आपको? वो भी एक करप्शन का केस है। और जमीन दो, नौकरी लो रेलवे की, उसमें भी उन पर चार्जशीट है। तो जहां सीरीज ऑफ करप्शन केस में कन्विक्शन है और प्रोसीडिंग पेंडिंग है, उनसे जाके आप मिलते हैं। तो जस्टिस सुदर्शन रेड्डी, प्लीज डोंट टॉक ऑफ कॉन्शियंस। अंतरात्मा की बात आप न करें और देश के आत्मा को तो बचाने की बात नहीं करें आप। इट इज हिपोक्रेसी इन द एक्सट्रीम एंड वी कंडेम इट आउटराइट। दिस बिहेवियर ऑफ जस्टिस रेड्डी, द अपोजिशन कैंडिडेट, इज वर्दी ऑफ कंडेमनेशन और हम इसको कंडेम करते हैं, इसकी भर्त्सना करते हैं। कृपया करके अपने को आप रिटायर्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज के रूप में जो प्रतिष्ठित करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, ये एक रिटायर्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज के पद की कितनी गरिमा को आप सम्मान दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि इस बात को समझना पड़ेगा कि लालू प्रसाद जी जिस करप्शन केस में कन्विक्टेड हैं, वो करप्शन केस की सुनवाई सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक गई थी। सीबीआई की इंक्वायरी हो, पटना हाई कोर्ट ने सीबीआई की इंक्वायरी ऑर्डर किया, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी किया कि आप इसको लॉजिकल कंक्लूजन पर ले जाइए। वो जजमेंट है सुप्रीम कोर्ट के, और उसमें अगर किसी को सजा होती है तो आप उसके यहां वोट मांगने चले जाते हैं जो वोटर भी नहीं है। जस्टिस रेड्डी, हाउ डू यू एक्सप्लेन योर कंडक्ट प्लीज? तो ये बड़ी बड़ी देश की अंतरात्मा और देश की आत्मा को बचाने का विचार तो आप नहीं रखे तो बेटर होगा। इसी संबंध में दूसरी बात मुझे कहनी है, मैं फिर रिपीट करूंगा, हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजेस, सिटिंग और रिटायर्ड सबकी सम्मान करते हैं, हाई कोर्ट के जज का सम्मान करते हैं। उनके साथ कुछ 10-15 जजेस ने टिप्पणी की थी उनके समर्थन में, जब उनके एक निर्णय पर सवाल उठाया गया था कि माओवाद की लड़ाई कैसे कमजोर हुई उनके निर्णय से सलवा जुलूम में। वो न्यायमूर्ति खामोश हैं। Surely I would like to very respectfully request or observe, where are the retired judges who publicly stood with him when some decision of his was sought to be criticized. What they have to say on this clear, below dignity of norms of propriety that he displayed. जिस तरह से उन्होंने राजनीति की शुचिता पर एक बड़े सवाल खड़ा किए, इसके बारे में उन रिटायर्ड माननीय न्यायमूर्तियों की क्या टिप्पणी है, ने कसकर उनका समर्थन किया था। मैं फिर रिपीट करना चाहता हूं, मेरी पार्टी और मैं व्यक्तिगत रूप से सभी न्यायमूर्तियों का सम्मान करते हैं, चाहे वो वर्किंग है, अवकाश प्राप्त है। इस देश के लोकतंत्र को पढ़ाने में जुडिशरी की बड़ी भूमिका रही है। बट सम क्वेश्चंस विल बी रेज्ड व्हेन यू कम इन द इलेक्शन फॉर पब्लिक ऑफिस। इस संदर्भ में मैंने एक बात कही थी। तो दूसरी बात यह है जो बहुत पीड़ादायक है। कांग्रेस पार्टी के सम्माननीय अध्यक्ष हैं खड़गे साहब। एक गरीब किसान 4 एकड़ या 4 बीघा वाला अपनी मटर की खेती बाढ़ और बरसात में बर्बाद हो गई, उसकी पीड़ा बताने गया था। तो कहे यहां क्यों आए हो, तुम्हारा दिखावा क्या करते हो, तुम्हारा 4 बीघा है, 4 एकड़, मेरा 40 एकड़ बर्बाद हो गया। तो पहली बात हमें मालूम हुई कि सम्मानीय कांग्रेस के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष 40 एकड़ जमीन रखते हैं कलबुर्गी में, यह देश को मालूम हुआ। लेकिन ये कौन सा अहंकार है? खड़गे साहब, वो आपके पास अपनी पीड़ा बताने गया था क्योंकि आपकी सरकार है कर्नाटका में। कर्नाटका इज बीइंग रूल्ड बाय ए कांग्रेस गवर्नमेंट। आप कांग्रेस के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हैं, तो किसान वहां जाएगा तो दिखावा करेगा, पब्लिसिटी करेगा। तो कृपया करके इस तरह की झूठी बातें क्यों कहते हैं आप? हम किसानों के साथ स्टैंड करेंगे और किसानों के हित में राहुल गांधी जो हैं वो, मैं तो अपने संजय जी से कहूंगा कि राहुल गांधी के सारे स्टेटमेंट को रिलीज कर दिया जाए। किसानों के बारे में कितनी बड़ी बड़ी बात और खोखली बात कहते हैं वो। खटाखट आजकल कहां है वो? उनका लोकेशन मालूम है तुमको? हैं? चलो अच्छा होता राहुल गांधी कर्नाटका जाते, अच्छा होता राहुल गांधी पंजाब जाते। वहां डूबे हुए हैं किसान, परेशानी में है। अब राहुल गांधी जहां है, उनकी छुट्टी उनको मुबारक। मैं क्या बोलूं उसको? जब कोई कैजुअल पॉलिटिशियन होता है, ये तो होना ही था। हाँ, अब बहुत काम कर लिया, लेट मी हैव ए ब्रेक।
Ahead of the vice presidential polls, the BJP has launched a sharp attack on the India bloc, questioning their joint candidate, former Supreme Court Judge Sudarshan Reddy, for meeting RJD leader and for a scam convict Lalu Prasad Yadav. Remember, it was Amit Malviya first who were taking them on, and now you have Ravi Shankar Prasad. Aishwarya joining me live. Aishwarya first, Malviya, now Ravi Shankar Prasad. The attack on the India bloc only getting sharper ahead of the vice presidential race.
Well, the Bharatiya Janata Party has been stating that it's a terrible optics. The person who is eyeing for the second most highest constitutional position, being a former Supreme Court judge, a jurist, meeting a convict in the forest scam is something which is shocking. This is also, according to Bharatiya Janata Party, a question on the morality of the former Supreme Court judge. In fact, the Bharatiya Janata Party went on to say that this is the hypocrisy that stands exposed. But some of the leaders that we have spoken to so far from the India bloc on Mr. Sudarshan Reddy meeting Lalu Prasad Yadav, they have stated that it is Sudarshan Reddy. We all know for the fact that he is India bloc's vice president's candidate, and he is meeting all the senior leaders from the India bloc, and RJD, which is a party which is also one amongst the India bloc. Lalu Prasad Yadav being the supremo of the party, father of Tejasvi Yadav, it is to garner votes from the RJD. In that particular line, Sudarshan Reddy has met Lalu Prasad Yadav. Nothing more can be added to it, but it is the Bharatiya Janata Party who had launched a massive attack on Sudarshan Reddy. Certainly, they have stated that it's terrible optics, and this kind of hypocrisy has been completely exposed as far as the India bloc.
All right, so terrible optics. There's also what the BJP is, of course, slamming the India alliance over. This, of course, comes just less than 24 hours until the vice presidential elections. The NDA is intensifying efforts to secure victory for its candidate, Dr. C.P. Radhakrishnan, against the opposition's Sudarshan Reddy. The BJP is conducting a voting workshop in Parliament to strategize and ensure a smooth win, leaving nothing to chance. NDA allies are rallying their MPs in Delhi for key meetings and practice sessions to consolidate support. Confident in their numerical strength, the NDA is focused on maintaining unity and discipline among its ranks.
Let's quickly turn our attention now to how the numbers stack up. The Vice President is elected by members of both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, including nominated members of the Upper House. And currently, the NDA holds a comfortable edge. The current combined strength of the two houses stands at 786. This is factoring in 6 vacancies, 1 in Lok Sabha from West Bengal and 5 in Rajya Sabha, 4 from Jammu and Kashmir, and 1 from Punjab, where Aam Aadmi Party MP Sanjeev Arora had stepped down after winning a state by-poll. To win, a candidate must secure at least 394 votes, assuming full turnout. The BJP-led NDA is well positioned because it commands the support of 293 MPs in the 542-member Lok Sabha and 129 MPs in the Rajya Sabha, effective strength being 240, including likely backing from nominated members. This gives the ruling alliance a projected total of 422 votes.
All the latest on that will be here on NDTV 24/7 through the day today and tomorrow. Moving on now to the other big story. Ukrainian President Zelensky has backed US President Donald Trump's tariffs on trading partners who have trade ties with Russia, including India, calling the action, quote-unquote, a right idea. Talking to an American broadcaster, Zelensky labeled Moscow's energy trade as Russian President Vladimir Putin's weapon against Ukraine and said the exports need to be stopped. He said, and I quote him here, "I think the idea to put tariffs on countries who continue to make deals with Russia is the right idea," Zelensky said when asked about a recent meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin in China. Trump has remembered double tariffs on India goods to a whopping 50%, including 25% additional duties for India's purchase of Russian crude oil. India, however, has called US action unfair, unjustified, and unreasonable. New Delhi has also made consistent calls for an end to the conflict in Ukraine. Shiv Arur, managing editor, joins me live. Along with him, I have Gauri Dravidian as well. Shiv, going to you first. A lot of events have led up to what Zelensky has said. Let's just break it down. You've had Zelensky meeting with Donald Trump. You've also had Zelensky dial Narendra Modi. And of course, this also comes at the back of what we've seen happen in Ukraine yesterday in terms of Russian attacks. Just decode for us what this statement really could mean.
Vedika, if you look at the headline of what Zelensky has said, which is it is the right idea for tariffs to be imposed on India, it sounds very harsh. It sounds like he's endorsing just the tariffs on India. But the larger interview that he's given to ABC, makes this a much more nuanced sort of position. First of all, what is Zelensky going to say really? Is he not going to support tariffs on countries that buy Russian oil and in that way support the Russian war machine? Of course, course he hasn't. This has been his position all along. The fact that India has been mentioned specifically here is a big deal. But like you rightly said, it comes a few days after, about a week after he actually dialed Prime Minister Modi. The words he used in that conversation are very important. That he looks to India as being a possible peacemaker in this entire situation. The other important issue here is Zelensky has his own dynamic right now with Trump. Like you said, he has met with Trump. Things haven't gone really that well. Trump is also frustrated about the way things have gone between Russia and Ukraine. So Zelensky in many ways walks a tightrope. Third point and final point, Vedika, is in this same interview, you've got Zelensky using even harsher words for Ukraine's European partners. India is the only country very uniquely positioned that has conversations actively ongoing, warm, cordial conversations with both Zelensky and Putin. That's a very rare thing. On the other hand, European partners, which continue to buy Russian energy, they've come in for an absolute lambasting in this very same interview by Zelensky. So I think I don't think it's really something to raise eyebrows about, because this is the principal position that Zelensky had to take.
Shiv, thanks for joining me there. Gauri also joining me now. Gauri, right noises being made by Zelensky, especially after that meeting with Donald Trump.
Well, if you look at it, Vedika, some of the points that Shiv made, just elaborating on that and taking on from there, just three things I want to add. First and foremost, Zelensky understands he has no leverage right now. He has absolutely no cards, in Donald Trump's words. He has no cards. He's speaking on a day when Russia's biggest drone attack has happened on Ukrainian cities. So what are his options, really? He was betting on the Alaska summit. That hasn't resulted in anything, not even a ceasefire. Forget anything more. Forget about even bringing Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin on the table to thrash out any possible peace settlement. So, and the third and the final thing that I also want to add up here, Vedika, is that let's not forget that Zelensky understands that if there is anybody who has those back channel lines of communication going, it is India. The fact that he did speak and reach out to Prime Minister Modi just a couple of days back indicates that this is probably Europe's best bet. You had French President Emmanuel Macron also speaking to Prime Minister Modi, because there's a consensus on the European continent as well, which is that if there is a possibility of reaching out to both sides, then India has that option and the possibility the best. But you know what? You're coming out with Zelensky right now, the comments, it essentially is airing his frustration, deep frustration that he's running out of options, running out of ammunition, running out of manpower, even as at this stage, there is nothing that is going to bring the Russian side on the table. They have nothing to really lose, and they have military momentum going with them. So that is the backdrop of these comments that have come in.
All right, Gauri and Shiv, thanks for joining me there. US President Donald Trump's senior trade advisor, Peter Navarro, who has been making multiple attacks on India over its trade and foreign policies with Russia, yet again made an anti-India post on social media. However, this time he got fact-checked by X, calling his claims hypocritical. Navarro, in a post, accused India of profiteering from the Russian oil imports. The X's fact-checking note corrected him, saying India's Russian oil purchases are for energy security and they do not violate sanctions. Another note added, Navarro's claims are hypocritical. India's legal sovereign purchases of Russian oil for energy security do not violate international law. Shortly after, the Trump aide responded to the fact checks and slammed Musk for letting propaganda in people's posts. And now we have Ghazali, assistant editor, joining me live on that. Ghazali, this is a back and forth, really. Mixed messaging also coming out of the Trump administration. Just on Saturday, over the weekend rather, you had Trump come out and say what he did on India. Then you had the Indian Prime Minister also come out with a response. And now you have Navarro making controversial comments all over again. Complete mixed messaging coming out of the White House at this point.
Yeah, certainly mixed messaging, and Mr. Trump is predictably unpredictable. So perhaps Mr. Navarro also will have to change his course. And as usual, somebody who gets fact-checked will get riled up about it, because Mr. Navarro has been fact-checked twice on that community note on his post. And most of these Trump aides who have been accusing India of profiteering from the war, or to say that they're purchasing oil from Russia, certainly discount the fact that China, being one of the largest purchaser of energy sources from Russia, US itself, European Union itself, and Prime Minister and the External Affairs Ministry over here in India has time and again countered these facts being put out by the aides in Trump administration. And this time around, there is perhaps when Mr. Navarro was fact-checked by the community notes on X, he has gone after Mr. Musk as well, knowing very well that how Mr. Trump and Musk one time close, having good rapport, have fallen out with each other. So in all this, perhaps we can see that even people within the Trump administration are not aware of the facts that India is not the one who is either profiteering from the war or purchasing oil from Russia, but there are many other countries who are considered as aides of the United States.
Ghazali, thanks for joining me live on that story. Also, valuation megamind Ashwath Damodaran has spoken to NDTV Profit on tariffs, Trump, and his unpredictable global role. Listen in.
The last couple of days and recently actually, Trump has posted about India and Russia going into the dark embrace of China. May they all prosper, etc. From an Indian perspective, in the last few months, we've gone from a situation where we thought that a tariff deal would be a shoo-in. Yeah. Definitely will be the first to get there, to a situation where it's become rather bleak. How have you seen that whole wave?
Well, I've watched Donald Trump now through his first presidential, the 4 years and now. And I think the word I would use to describe him is absolutely unpredictable, right? Normally you can look at a person's history and look at their mindset and say, this is what they're probably going to do. And I think, Donald Trump, it's almost impossible to figure out what that next step is. I mean, he will tell you that is his art of the deal because he's negotiating with people who are so uncertain about what he's going to do next. He gets better deals for himself. He does keep people off balance. I would not want to be negotiating with Donald Trump because I have no idea where he's coming from the next minute. So I think what you're seeing, though, is what he used to do in real estate play out on the global face, right? And real estate was another real estate person who probably felt the brunt of this uncertainty. Now you have, leaders of nations feeling the effects of somebody who's completely unpredictable.
You excel at analyzing companies, valuations, stocks. If Trump were a stock, where do you think this is going?
I would say he would, it's a high risk stock. It's an extremely volatile stock. It's a stock where it's a Tesla on a global stage, because Elon Musk has many of the same things, right? 2 days ago, I was listening to Elon say that Tesla is really a robotics company. And I said, really? I thought it was an electric car company. But in a sense, he's been able to carry investors with him because he has enough people who seem to say, okay, you're a robotics company. Trump, in a sense, does that on a national stage. He has a group of people who essentially say, okay, that's where you're going. I'll go with you.
If Xi Jinping were a stock?
He'd be a very predictable stock in many ways, except if you did things that really get in his way as a company. I mean, I have a sense that he's pretty ruthless about the end game and he will play that end game. And I think that if he were a stock, would be more predictable than Trump. But if you got on his wrong side, God help you, right? He has his own shadows that come with it.
Wow. What about Mr. Putin?
That's an interesting one. I mean, Russia doesn't have the power it used to have once, except for its military. But Putin is a survivor, right? I mean, it's clearly in Russia, the way you get to the top and stay to the top requires that you cut down your enemies early on. So if he were a stock, who would he be? Maybe some kind of a Chinese martial arts. I mean, I'd say he's very good at kind of keeping his enemies close and knocking them down. So, in many ways, he's easier to read because he doesn't hide behind, behind things that make you look polite. Like China, I think, puts out this, we care about the rest of the world. And I think Russia is very clear. We care about Russia. We're going to do whatever we can, even if the rest of the world disagrees. So, a tough one call.
And of course, what about Modi?
It's interesting. He's the lead seller of the India story, and he's done a pretty good job of selling the India story.
So, any stock in mind?
The stock in mind, it'd have to be a growth story. So it'd have to be Palantir, maybe, so you're selling a growth story. The story has heft, but lots of things have to, so it's still early in the game. So unlike the Amazons of the world where the story's been told, this is if it were a company, it'd be a growth company. Potential is out there, but lots of other things have to happen for that potential to be delivered in terms of numbers.
In news from the state of West Bengal, the BJP has accused the student leader of the Trinamool Congress Chhatra Parishad, the TMCP, of attempting to set fire to photographs of Rabindranath Tagore, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah on the campus of Chanchol College, alleging the act hurt the sentiments of people across the country. The TMC has called the allegations baseless.
आप सोच लीजिए कि पश्चिम बंगाल में शिक्षा व्यवस्था कहां पे पहुंच गए हैं। ये लोग प्रधानमंत्री और होम मिनिस्टर दोनों का तो मतलब SIR को लेकर इन लोग का बहुत डर है, इसलिए ये लोग एक प्रधानमंत्री होम मिनिस्टर को छोड़ते नहीं है, इसका भी फोटो जला रहा है। आप सोचिए रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर भी, ये लोग बांग्ला भाषा बंगाली अस्मिता को लेकर बात करते हैं और रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर को जानते नहीं है ये लोग, मतलब कभी दिखा ही नहीं, इसको पता ही नहीं है रविंद्रनाथ ठाकुर है, मतलब ये लोग ये देश का ही नहीं है। ये जो लोग है ये लोग का आप लोग देखिए कि कहां का परिचय है।
Ritik Mondal now joins me live. Ritik, another face-off between the BJP and TMC in the state of Bengal. What is the TMC saying in response to the attacks made by the BJP on this incident?
Well, let me break it down what exactly happened. The incident and the video surfaced from Malda's Chanchol, where the TMC student wing supporters were protesting out of a college. Now, the protests were organized by TMC to register against the alleged atrocities on Bengali, Asmita and Bengali language. That time, they were holding posters and pictures of eminent figures from Bengal, including Prime Minister and Home Minister Amit Shah. And they burned the pictures of PM and Home Minister. Amid this situation, they also burned a picture of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. That has sparked a huge controversy. BJP has beat out most of the BJP leaders, be it from Bengal or Delhi. They have posted this video, criticized TMC and attacking TMC. So we are yet to get a clarification from the TMC party, or we are yet to see any action being taken by this top leaders of the party against these perpetrators or alleged TMCP students leaders.
All right.
Those were involved in this thing. But we would expect that a strong action would be taken by the party.
All right, Ritik, thanks for joining us live. Here's also a quick check on the other developing stories that you should look out for today on NDTV 24/7. This is our Day Ahead section. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will represent India at a virtual summit of the BRICS grouping that has been convened by the Brazilian president today to discuss trade disruptions triggered by US policies on trade and tariff. Big story to look out for. Also, India and Israel are expected to finalize a bilateral investment treaty during the visit of Israeli Finance Minister Smotrich, while also laying the foundation for negotiations on a free trade agreement. The Supreme Court is scheduled to hear petitions challenging the special intensive revision of the electoral rolls in Bihar. Last week, the bench declined to extend the 1st September deadline set by the Election Commission of India for filing claims and objections. The other big story from the south now, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that the ruling DMK in the state of Tamil Nadu is raising emotive issues around language and Dravidian identity to target the BJP, as it has no answers to allegations of corruption and caste crimes plaguing its government. She asserted that there can be no bigger bogus argument than that her party is against Dravidian interests. DMK meanwhile has hit out saying Tamil Nadu was only asking for what is its right.
How important is this vice president election for the DMK, particularly when NDA has its numbers?
No, it is very important to have this election because this is a part of the democratic process, and it doesn't mean that we have to let it go unchallenged, whoever the candidate from NDA is. Let us wait for the votes to be counted. We cannot do SIR in this, no? So obviously let's wait for the votes to be counted.
Is it a delicate situation for the DMK that you are forced to oppose a candidate from Tamil Nadu, in this case Mr. Radhakrishnan?
No, it is not a delicate situation at all because the Chief Minister has been very clear that this is an ideological fight. It is not about any individual. It is an ideological fight, and it's a fight for democracy. So we are not confused, or we have no regrets about fielding a candidate from the opposition.
In a significant political move aimed at consolidating support among the Thevar community, AIADMK Chief Palaniswamy or EPS has demanded the Bharat Ratna, the highest Indian civilian award for freedom fighter and community icon Thevar. Speaking at Athur, remember Thevar stronghold on Sunday, EPS also urged the union government to name the Madurai airport after Thevar, assuring that the AIADMK would take up these demands with the centre and do everything required to fulfill them.
இந்திய சுதந்திர போராட்டத்தில் தீவிரமாக பங்கேற்ற தெய்வ திருமகனார் பசும்பொன் ஐயா முத்துராமலிங்க தேவர் தன் வாழ்நாள் முழுவதும் அனைத்து தரப்பு மக்களுக்காக வாழ்ந்தவர். தனது சொத்தின் பெரும் பகுதியை ஜாதி மதம் பார்க்காமல் தானமாக மக்களுக்கு கொடுத்தவர். தேசிய தலைவரான தேவர் திருமகனார் ஒரே நேரத்தில் சட்டமன்ற தேர்தலிலும் நாடாளுமன்ற தேர்தலிலும் போட்டியிட்டு வெற்றி பெற்றவர். தமிழ்நாடு குறிப்பா தென் மாவட்ட மக்கள் நெஞ்சங்களிலே நீக்கா வாழும் பசும்பொன் ஐயா முத்துராமலிங்க தேவர் அவர்களுக்கு நாட்டின் உயரிய விருதான பாரத ரத்னா விருதினை வழங்க வேண்டும் என்று அதிமுக சார்பா மத்திய அரசிடம் கோரிக்கை வைப்பு. அதை நிறைவேற்றுவதற்கு அனைத்து முயற்சியும் அதிமுக கட்சி எடுக்கும்.
And AIADMK's Palaniswamy also took a veiled jibe at Sengotian and ousted party leaders. EPS said there are attempts being made to break the party and that no one can break the political party AIADMK. Senior party leader Sengotian was sacked, remember, from all party posts after he suggested unity talks with ousted party leaders. Several leaders, including OPS, Sasikala and AIMM chief, came out in support of Sengotian, calling EPS's move a dictatorship and saying he needs to be taught a lesson. Listen in to EPS's latest statement.
இந்த கட்சியை எவ்வளவோ பேர் உடைக்க பார்க்கறாங்க, முடக்க பார்க்கறாங்க. அத்தனையும் உங்கள் துணையோடு தாவடுபடி ஆக்கிட்டு இருக்கிறோம். இது தொண்டர் நிறைந்த கட்சி, உயிரோட்டமுள்ள கட்சி. எந்த கொம்பனாலும் உடைக்க முடியாது. அதிமுக தான் சாதாரண தொண்டன் கூட எம்எல்ஏ ஆகலாம், எம்பி ஆகலாம், அமைச்சர் ஆகலாம், முதலமைச்சரே ஆகலாம்.
Hello and welcome back to Breaking Ground with me, Vedika Su. The show not only about the headlines but the meaning behind them. So let's get started with the top stories at this hour. Congress MP Shashi Tharoor strikes a different chord from his party once again. Backs Election Commission survey in Bihar, says annual review of voters list is practical. Delhi government under fire over Chief Minister's husband attending meeting. Opposition calls it unconstitutional. BJP defends. Prohibitory orders in Karnataka's Mandya district following violence during Ganesh idol immersion. Clashes also reported this morning. Face-off over centre versus states fund share. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman claims DMK has separatist mindset. DMK hits back, says Tamil Nadu only asking for what is right. BJP versus TMC over Bengal icon Rabindranath Tagore. BJP blames Trinamool student leader of burning Tagore's photograph. TMC denies allegations. And Ukrainian President Zelensky backs US tariffs on India and other countries, calls it the right idea to sanction those who do business with Russia. All right, let's get you some political news. First up, the Congress is gearing up for the Bihar elections. It's set to hold a meeting tomorrow, is what we're being told. The focus will be on the seat sharing with the RJD. Now, sources say RJD is not agreeing to concede seats. Rahul Gandhi and Kharge are set to hold the meeting amid tussle over seat sharing with the RJD. Aishwarya Jain now joins me live, special correspondent NDTV. Aishwarya, what are we expecting tomorrow? This will be a big negotiation between the RJD and the Congress, especially when sources are telling NDTV that the RJD is not agreeing to concede seats here.
Well, certainly, and it's a big development that has taken place as far as the opposition bloc is concerned in Bihar. There would be hectic parleys of meeting that will take place tomorrow of the Congress party along with the RJD. We've been told that senior leaders from both the political parties will be present. There would be seat sharing discussion and also how to go ahead in the Bihar polls. The strategy for campaigning will also be decided, and it will all come down to the seat sharing. And tomorrow a meeting has been called in which Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge, Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi, Tejasvi Yadav, all would be present, and certainly whether there will be some sort of consensus that would be made or other rounds of meetings that will also take place is something that remains to be seen.
Aishwarya, do stay with me because we have another developing story that we want to speak to you on. Congress MP Shashi Tharoor has supported the government's concerns in the Bihar SIR row, highlighting issues of duplicate dead and unregistered voters. Emphasizing the need for regular revisions of electoral rolls, Mr. Tharoor urged the Election Commission to openly address the matter, suggesting the use of digital tools and algorithms to detect irregularities effectively. Listen in.
There are duplicates, there are dead voters, there are living voters who are not registered, there are people who have moved address and who's got 2 or 3 addresses in 2 or 3 different booths. All of these things have existed, but if it has happened on a very big scale, then it needs to be addressed. I think the Election Commission's best approach should be to confront these matters very openly. Fortunately, nowadays our digital technologies improved so much, you can develop an algorithm to go through all the voter registrations, flag every duplicate thing, raise certain questions. I think a revision every few years is essential, maybe every year even.
Aishwarya still with us. Aishwarya, how's the Congress looking at Tharoor's comment?
Well, so far there has been no comment that has been made by the Congress party on once again a difference in opinion between Dr. Shashi Tharoor and the Congress High Command. Remember, it was Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi and Tejasvi Yadav who conducted the Vote Adhikar Yatra and blamed the Election Commission of India, specifically the India bloc, questioning the timing of the entire SIR row in Bihar, and also the process that has been involved into it. Dr. Shashi Tharoor now once again certainly making different opinions as to what the Congress party had been speaking for so long. Shashi Tharoor went on to say that yes, every voter should have trust in the voting process. There have been many people who know that there are duplicate addresses. There has been people who have died, people who have moved from one location to other, and there is a need at this point in hour to have an automated modern technological adoption system in the entire election process. The SIR is something that he indirectly welcomed to have the trust of every voter in the election process. How the Congress party is going to respond is something that remains to be seen. But whenever we have seen in the past Dr. Shashi Tharoor making such a statement which has some differences of opinion with the Congress High Command, then certainly the Congress sidelines that, saying that it might be a personal opinion of Dr. Shashi Tharoor, and Congress party officially rejects that.
Keep coming back to you for more, especially when there is a comment from the Congress. Like you said, it's not the first time that Shashi Tharoor has had a divergent view from that of his party. Now, staying with the Congress MP Tariq Anwar got a piggyback ride in Bihar's Katihar during a flood inspection drive. In a viral video, villagers can be seen wading through a waterlogged field while carrying Mr. Anwar on their backs, who was there to inspect a flooded area. While the video has given room to a political row, Congress has come out in support of its minister and is defending him by saying that Mr. Anwar was unwell. Tariq Anwar, Congress MP from Katihar, was on a two-day visit to his parliamentary constituency, inspecting the impact of the flood. Mr. Anwar had used various modes of transport, including a tractor and a boat, to commute and inspect the region and meet people hit by the floods. But in one of those videos, Mr. Anwar is seen being carried by villagers. Now, the Katihar District Congress President Sunil Yadav said villagers themselves picked up the minister due to his ill health. Speaking to NDTV, Mr. Yadav said, "We used a tractor, boat and bike to travel. During the inspection, our truck got stuck in the mud and we had to walk around 2 kilometers. It was extremely hot and Mr. Anwar was feeling unwell." Prabhakar now joins me live on that big controversy. Prabhakar, what are we hearing? Have you heard from Tariq Anwar yet? Because we see these scenes very often when there are these VVIP movements and we see special treatment given to politicians. But in this case, the Congress says that Mr. Anwar was unwell.
Yeah, that is the reaction of the Congress. As far as Mr. Anwar is concerned, he has so far not talked to the media, but what we are learning is that he's on way to Delhi, so certainly there he will be talking to media. Now, Congress's stand on this particular issue is that Mr. Anwar was well, and that's the reason why he was he was being carried on the back by the villagers over there. We had gone for the inspection of the flood area. But remember this, the visual which you are seeing, which we are showing to our viewers, it has a huge potential of going viral, and that is exactly what has happened with this video. Here is a member of parliament who's riding on the back of a local villager, and if you
All right, we had to cut out of that because there is some breaking news coming in. Nepal's youth are holding a rally to protest against corruption in the country. The rally at a venue close to the Prime Minister's office is being hosted by people under 28 with no political parties backing them. The organizers said they are fighting rampant corruption, inequality, and the government coming down heavily on protests. All right, so you can see those visuals on your screens coming in from Nepal of protests that have been taking place. I have Ghazali joining me live on this story. Ghazali, just tell us why these protests are taking place. We see scores of people gathered there.
Carried out by the youths of Nepal who are carrying out this protest against corruption, against massive corruption. And the background to this protest is that just recently Nepal's Prime Minister Mr. KP Oli had announced that how he is going to ban most of the social media like Facebook, like Instagram, because they have not registered with the government's telecommunications department. Now, that being one side of the story, for a very long time, for multiple weeks now, the youths of Nepal have been planning this protest. They call this as a Gen Z protest, and that is why there is not just one group which is leading the protest, but perhaps the youths of Nepal have gathered at multiple locations, not just in Kathmandu, but in other locations in Nepal, who are protesting against the rampaging, massive corruption in the government system. Nepal's Prime Minister in his statement just came a day before yesterday, because today's protest was planned in advance, that the youths will gather on Monday and hold a protest against the government there. But Nepal's Prime Minister was quoted saying that perhaps he is doing his best, and he feels that the youths of the country will understand the sentiment and intentions of the government and will not hold this protest. The protest was planned close to Prime Minister's residence in Nepal.
And that's my second question to you, Ghazali. The Prime Minister facing the heat there, given that this protest was very close to his office.
They wanted to draw his attention. The protesters wanted to bring his attention towards towards this agitation against the rampaging corruption there. The Prime Minister has not addressed the core issue of the protest, which is the corruption, the rampant corruption there. But he is appealing, he has appealed the students to call off the protest. The statement has not come today, it came just a day before yesterday. But it appears now that this entire movement, or the movement, has now culminated into protest, and it is expected that this will not be limited to just one city or location close to his residence, but will involve a lot of people in different locations in the country.
But this is a sweeping blanket ban that the Prime Minister of Nepal wants to implement. You're talking about at least 26 social media platforms that he wants to shut down.
Vedika, we have seen this kind of responses from the government which has been facing this kind of agitation of people's anger in our neighborhood as well, when social media was banned, just in Pakistan as well. But this is only going to aggravate the situation, because the student leaders who are speaking there, or who have been vocal on the social media or other platforms, they have been accessing the social media platforms through other networks, and they have said that perhaps a sweeping ban by the government will only aggravate the situation, and the government should focus on the real issue for which this agitation has been organized, rather than putting a ban on social media.
The opposition reacting to this in Nepal, Ghazali, any word from them? Because of course you have the young blood on the roads protesting against the Prime Minister of the country, but what is the opposition saying to this?
Opposition has not yet reacted very strongly to what is happening, because had they been involved, we could have seen their faces also in this protest. It is purely led by the students, as what we saw in Bangladesh last year when Sheikh Hasina was being ousted, though we got to know later that there were forces behind those agitation as well. But this appears as of now to be led just by the students, just by the young generation there. The opposition is keeping an eye on it, but no active response as of now, though they have been blaming the current Prime Minister of indulging, or his government of not controlling or curbing on corruption there.
Ghazali, let's just very quickly recap for our viewers what we're seeing on our screens here. We're seeing young protesters take to the streets near the Prime Minister's office in Nepal, protesting against what they're saying is rampant corruption, inequality, and the government coming down heavily on protests. Ghazali, just take us through the order that KP Sharma Oli's government has come out with. It happened 5 days ago, what the order said, and why the youth are angry against the Prime Minister in Nepal.
See, the youths are quite angry about this government for not controlling corruption. What they feel is that in every department there is massive corruption. The government, which came to power under Mr. Oli, had promised that they will overhaul the entire system, but which has not been done in as many days. And just 2-3 days before this scheduled protest today, the government came out with an order banning most of the social media accounts. As you rightly pointed out, 26 social media platforms have been banned, including Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms in Nepal. The reason given by the government was that perhaps these companies have not registered, or have not got informed the government about their operations in the country, and that is why it is getting banned. But the youths, particularly the protesters, believe that perhaps this was one of those draconian steps by the Nepal's government to curb this protest, to ensure that it doesn't spread far and wide. But they see that all these draconian orders by the Nepal's government will only lead to, or will only aggravate the situation, and will help their agitation to grow far and wide.
All right. Also, Nepo Kid and Nepo Babies are two of the hashtags, we believe, that have gone viral and have been trending online, gaining momentum after the government decided to block unregistered platforms. This seems to be, Ghazali, a total clampdown really, and the young blood in Nepal or any other country is not going to take this lightly. Are we expecting more youth to join forces with those on the ground? What is the security situation like? What are you hearing from the ground on these issues?
See, as of now, the protest is limited to Kathmandu because the location of the venue of the protest, as in the schedule was announced, it was decided that it will be in the national capital. One of the venue would be close to the PM's residence as well. So as of now, people are just gathering in. It's building up. People from different corners of the city are sort of reaching there at the protest venue. We will only get to know that what is going to be the agenda of this protest, because obviously it is against corruption, against the corrupt practices of the government. government, but we'll have to see that who is going to address it, who is leading it, what are their political affiliations, because multiple protests, when such kind of protests erupt on the streets, it appears that it is very independent and it's under no influence, no political influence, but slowly we will see that which way or in which direction this protest is moving or is headed to, and whether the government led by Mr. KP Sharma Oli will be addressing it, whether there will be any communication or dialogue between the two to at least ask the protesters to withdraw their agitation, and what will be their main demands in this protest.
All right, a quick recap there. Protests led by the younger generation against corruption and the government's decision to restrict social media platforms have moved from the digital space to the streets there on your screens. You have scores of young protesters taking to the streets close to the Nepal Prime Minister's office in Kathmandu to voice their dissent against what has happened a couple of days back, where the government of Nepal has clamped down and is wanting to shut down several social media sites. Moving on now, the Punjab government has estimated a loss of more than Rs 13,000 crores due to the floods that have ravaged the state over the past 3 weeks. The figure was presented by the state government to the members of two central inter-ministerial teams that have been touring Punjab since the 4th of September to assess the damage. Prime Minister Modi, remember, is set to visit Gurdaspur in Punjab tomorrow and will meet those affected by the floods and interact with farmers as well as residents who have lost their crops and property. The centre has assured they will take all possible steps to help the victims' families. Listen in to the political reactions coming in. All right, before we get to the reactions, let's just cut across to Gurpreet Cheena as well, Deputy News Editor. Gurpreet, a quick word on the politics now over the tragedy that's unfolding in the state of Punjab. A lot of opposition leaders, a lot of critics rather of the BJP also coming out and saying that no real package has been announced yet. Why is it being delayed? Take us through the politics that is unrolling on the ground.
Well, we have seen the politics has already started before the Prime Minister visit, and specifically today we have seen the Punjab Minister Aman Arora. He has raised a multiple question over the central government for not announcing any relief package to the state of Punjab. He says if the Prime Minister is coming, he is supposed to release at least 20,000 crore relief package to the state of Punjab, so that they will be able to revamp the whole infrastructure which has already been damaged in the various districts of Punjab. But at the same time, we have seen the Union Agriculture Minister has already visited, and what we have learnt from the sources, the central government teams, they are also conducting to assess the total damages and what type of relief it is required. They are going to submit a detailed report. But before that, we have seen the multiple questions are being raised by Aam Aadmi Party before the Prime Minister visit, and they are saying why the relief package has not been announced despite knowing that the Union Agriculture Minister has already visited and he has already given a detailed report to the central government. So let's see that how the things will be unfolded. But we have learned the Prime Minister is going to visit the worst affected areas of the state, where we have seen huge damage has already been taken place, and the people, they became homeless after this flood situation which has come in that place. We have seen specifically in district borders, the whole area had been flooded, and many people, they have to leave their houses, they have to stay in the various relief camps. So we have to wait and watch how the BJP and specifically the central government is going to react these questions which are being raised by Aam Aadmi Party MLA in the state of Punjab, and the politics which has already been initiated between the political parties before the Prime Minister visit. Back to studio.
Thanks for joining us there, and keep safe while Punjab still goes through a flood situation. We'll keep coming back to you for more. Moving on now, political war of words over Mandya tension. In their latest comments, the BJP has equated the Karnataka government with Mughals. Take a look at some of the reactions coming in.
कल मंड्या में गणेश चतुर्थी का गणपति का प्रोसेशन चल रहा था. कई लोग पत्थर फेंके एंड हमारा ध्वज को अपमान किया, गणेश को अपमान किया. लास्ट ईयर भी, पिछले साल भी यही मंड्या में नागमंगला में हुआ था. ये साल कल मद्दूर में मंड्या जिला का मंदूर में हुआ। सरकार हिंदुओं को दमन करने का, हिंदू भावनाओं को दमन करने का काम कर्नाटका में कर रहा है। मैं इसको विरोध करती हूँ। एंड तुरंत ही कौन कल पत्थर फेंका, गणेश को अपमान किया, प्रोसेशन में बाधा डाला, उसको तुरंत ही अरेस्ट करना, कार्रवाई करना। नहीं तो ऐसा एक माहौल है कर्नाटका में, हम बच नहीं सकते।
An incident has happened in Mandya, Maddur. Some sort of a stone pelting, all that. That is now controlled. Police have already arrested few people and everything is under control. They have also capped section 144 also. Everything under control.
The situation has gone so bad that there are some antisocial elements who think that they can get away with any kind of violence because they have got political backing. And political backing has been seen throughout. When there was a Eid Milad the other day, everything went on peacefully in the same area and throughout the state. Whereas, whenever it comes to Ganesha, they try to suppress it. The entire police force will be behind it. Why? Because that there are anti-social element doesn't want procession. A Hindu deity procession shows the strength of the Hindu community. It doesn't want that. Hindu community is very peaceful. It doesn't. The procession will be very peaceful.
Deepak joining me on that developing story. Deepak, huge face-off, political face-off between the Congress and BJP over the Mandya clash.
Well, I'm currently not able to hear very clearly because the music is quite loud here. You can see a massive gathering of, protesters, also activists who've come here, some BJP leaders as well. You can see a Ganesha idol that has been brought on top of a vehicle. We're standing very close to a police station as well, where there's a massive crowd that has gathered as we speak. I'm just going to take you through the visuals. Senior police officials have also reached the spot. You can see the central IG, Mr. Laburam is here, the DCP, I beg your pardon, the ADGP for Law and Order, Mr. Hitendra is also here. They're going to try and speak to the crowds that have gathered in huge numbers, shouting slogans as well. You can see massive deployment in terms of KSRP policemen and here from Bengaluru as well. Police have been brought in to manage the situation. As of now, protesters shouting slogans that they want justice. And as we look at these pictures on our television screens, it is an indication of how tense the situation has remained over the last 13 to 14 hours. Even as senior police officials have arrived in Mandya, massive deployment as we speak of KSRP, local police who have also been brought in from neighbouring districts of Channapatna and Mysuru. Two DCPs from Bengaluru have come in here. I can right now see the Deputy Commissioner from Bengaluru West and also the Deputy Commissioner from Bengaluru South who've been brought in. So the senior officials primarily here to contain the situation, control the crowds who are swelling as we speak. The police, of course, will try and hope to contain the situation as the crowds continue to gather in large numbers. The police, of course, the next half an hour will try to disperse them. Now, all of this, of course, started after last night's stone pelting near Ram Rahim Nagar in Maddur. Very close to that area now where we are standing at as senior police officials try and contain the situation.
All right, massive protests there that you can see. That is the Bangalore-Mysuru highway where Deepak is. We'll try and reconnect with him. But those protests happening straight after the clashes that took place last night in Mandya, followed by protests this morning. It's been a huge security challenge for the police there to keep everything calm, and that will remain, of course, the biggest challenge today, as we can see the protests that are taking place. Back to you, Deepak. I'm going to keep the questions short because there's so much of ambient noise around you, but just take us through what's happening where you are.
Well, now as we speak, the protesters playing loud music as well, even as the senior police officials here have all come in from Bengaluru to defuse the situation. The Ramnagara SP is here. The deputy commissioners of Bengaluru West and South are also here. They're all here to contain the situation. They've been specifically asked to come here just to ensure that the law and order is maintained. So I know this is not your jurisdiction. You've just been asked as an additional hand to come here. How's the situation up until now, sir?
Talk to him.
Okay, that was the DCP of the South Division again being asked to come to Mandya to control the situation. Several assistant commissioners of police as well have been asked to come here. Now the senior officials, of course, here at the Maddur Municipal Council office, barricading has been done around this area. We have the SP of Mandya as well. So how's the situation now, sir?
Is under control.
Okay.
Now 2,000 people are here. Okay. So we are trying to pacify them. They are just ready for submitting their memorandum.
What's the demand, sir? Why are they protesting here today on the highway?
Yesterday's, we were involved in the yesterday's incident.
What happened yesterday, sir? Could you give us more clarity? As
they were going through that Ram Rahim Nagar. There is some